this could get extremely sketchy. Kerry Quintera gets right down to the bottom.
And he missed the turn one. He goes wide. I'm not sure what happened to him back there, and that's a Ferrari turned. I believe that is Eric Whitner. It is.
In the early stages, dramas. And all there's a mistake. It's a mistake from Schwenkler, and Adam Thompson sails on through to the lead of the GT4 race. And, well, after Adam Thompson himself made a mistake in the early stages. They roar down into turn one as a crash immediately. And he's in the back, and there's two cars off. He's one of the BMWs, and I think it's one of the Mercedes as well. It's Appa and Mailing. And there's more drama at the back, and Terry's involved in the Mercedes.
On hour and a half, it is going to be Edoardo Pecorini leading us away, and it's a slightly controversial start as he sort of cut off the Porsche down into that final corner, but leads us away into turn one by 0.5 of a second.
On this front straightaway, Eero Nam on pole, Rada Savage second, and they're going to get on the gas. It's green flag here at Bathurst for the American Muscle Series. Safe for a few cars and a few battles. That was one of them. That was a big moment from Hollis. What a save from that driver. He's going to lose the spot to Rob Hartley, but what a save.
A bump from the 24 car will draft Hosea through potentially as they go down into turn 3. Can Hosea get to the... they crash behind, and Hosea is collected as well. There's 3 of them, and they're going to spew out across the track, just about able to survive these guys.
Trying to attack Matt Malone for 6th. We're on to the final lap of this first of the 20-minute race, and there's one. They make contact. Matt Malone almost spins around. I don't think he'll try and get the position, Jay Bass, but he's going to lose out to Phil Keck in doing so.
Hello and welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting's coverage of the first ever event of the Spec 5 World Tour here on SMB. My name is Adam Thompson, and I am joined by the always lovely Alex Anderson.
They fought too hard for second. Camden Hibbett is going to win at Phillip Island. Side by side for third. Ronnie Coates is going to get that spot. Mitchell Peak is going to get second there. No, something happened to Ashley Lyle. Sean Hayes just won that race. As here we go down the back straightaway. This will be the best passing opportunity for these guys. Soto gets the outside. Oh! Soto around, collects Ronnie Coates. Rui Coimbra is going to run away with this one, as that is a massive accident on the last lap. Everybody scrambles around him. A 3-car wreck. Coimbra has to serve the slowdown. Rat J leads into the carousel. Simon Foweather now has to try and close the gap.
And that's what I kept saying this entire time since the pit cycle. This second group needed to work together because you never know what's going to happen. Wait for that white flag. Wait for it all to shake out. Now Tom Rathje has a big gap. It's going to be very hard for Foweather to close that up in these remaining corners.
Making a move on Southwell, long up to 7th place. Jason Southwell down, Jamie Southwell, I should say, down into 8th place. Southwell losing even more time. Marcel and Justin. Oh, that's wide from P2 there. He's in the barrier. That's Luke Mann. He's demoted to 4th. Diego Airy is away as well with Justin Hall alongside. It's very much line of stern until you get to about 6th or 7th place when everything starts. Oh, Billy Bowerman's been tagged. I think Bowerman, tagged Alves. He picked up a little bit of damage, or maybe in fact Mike has slowed down. Oh, he's been tagged by a Porsche. He spins round somehow. Manages to get that car under control, but he's spearing across towards the inside.
Badgers, all those GT3 cars coming down. Adam Day leading the way. Bjorn Staines, the high placing AM guy, up into the 3rd spot right now as they're all packing in down the straightaway now into turn 1.
5 lights, and we're underway here for the XSLR here at Laguna Seca. Randall McGrew with an excellent start. Adam Thompson, not the best one. Here comes Rob Schwenkler here. Fantastic start from him down into turn number 1. The Andretti hairpin, he gets there. He gets to the inside of Randall McGrew. through turns 1 and 2. Adam Thompson still back there in third, didn't get the greatest start. Randall McGrew sets his right sides off track. That once again, Adam Thompson quick to the gas, but Whitner not that far behind here as they round 1 and 2 for the first time on this restart. Bobby Ross goes wide there as Adam does as well. Randall McGrew is through into third place, and currently Sorm and Schwenkler side by side for fifth.
Way through, we look down on them. We get airborne once more. This course, Kevin Irwin, bit of trouble here previously, but Howard really looking like he's under a bit of pressure. Losing that place to Thompson. Could lose it further as there's bit of contact down in the midfield there. VIR bouncing across the curves, the pair of them. And Thompson's finally going to run on him. He's going to be up the inside on the run down to the gate turn. And surely this is going to be from the lead. He backs out of him. Schenkler runs wide. But Thompson's finally got to get.
On the lead, turn 1 is going to be interesting. Let's see if everybody gets through it. Looks like there's a little bit of a bump there, but everybody's getting through it okay. Now into turn 2, turn 3. We're 3 wide right in front of them. Oh, we got cars everywhere.
Big trouble. Kingsbury, you need to work on closing this gap and then maybe play the patience game. Make sure your tires are nice and cool. Don't overuse them. And to stay there in a good position as we see a pass for the lead. Hutcherson making the big move into turn 1, young wall.
Like Kingsbury's trying to go around the out or the inside, but it turns into the outside, and there's contact. Marwan did not leave him any room.
Yeah,
oh no!
Get together.
Oh no!
Where he should be.
So what happened there, Mike? What did he do? Did he suck his tire off?
I'm gonna go mute now.
Back to the leader, Elias Roman.
We welcome you all to slow motion for this presentation of the Formula V Weekend Warrior Series, and we're about to grab the start in just a few moments' time. It's going to be Megan Overstreet leading them to green with Ladar right alongside. We're waiting for that green flag to come at, and the drivers are now on their way. Some of these drivers may be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of this race as side by side with Love and DeGassis heading into 5.
It's close. It's a bit treacherous on the corner. Rex is just singling run wide there, Ron.
Down the running order, Love and Brewster, meanwhile, they have been in the tow and they've seen all these drivers try and do their own maneuvers. They definitely have something cooking behind the wheel of those FV race cars. As Montgomery gets that move done, one's running at the back. Well, not actually running right now, I don't believe, as there's a spinner with Ladar.
Oh no.
Oh, and there's contact as well. I think he got ran into. I'm not sure who that was that he made contact with, possibly Hank Mel. I'm not too sure.
In the league, we are live for the first time on slow motion broadcasting with the FF Weekend Warriors. We're at Sebring this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I saw a little bit of rain here in the practice session, but we'll get to that here in 1 second. My name is Adam Thompson. I'm joined in the booth by Randall McGrew.
These 3 going right at it. We see you're getting really, really squirrely. There.
Oh no!
Some contact. Oh no! Jurg and Antonio, the 2 Masters leaders, both with issues and now dropping down the order.
Losing a lot of places back as dicing through the curbs. Our lead 2. As that's Instaman just slotting it up the inside through McIntyre there. Beautifully done by the Icelandic driver as there's a big incident happened behind somewhere. Gonzaga losing a lot of places back.
Almost touching at that point. They're around there heading into the closing stages of the track. Not quite there yet. Heading through what I'm calling the horseshoe, but let's not get into my drawing skills at this point. Nothing but clear track ahead of them at this point, so no one should be able to interfere in that battle. Side by side, nearly had contact there. That's going to put Kabanka on the inside for this next hairpin. This could be what decides it, and he's gone right on the outside, actually trying to cover off the car. I do wonder if Barry is going to be close enough to potentially slipstream. They've got 2 corners left to go. This penultimate one now. Barry right up close, 0.3 of a second. I'm not sure it's going to be close enough, 0.2 of a second. He's got to keep his foot on that loud pedal. Catches a little bit of a curve, but has Kabanga done it? Barry going to the inside, and Kabanga gets it.
The midfield in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over Green and is pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure Green has his hands full coming into T1.
Your chance. Did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside. Hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
Soto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Plava going up to try to move out of the way and give up the slipstream.
Here comes Gilliland.
Slow down. Gilliland coming in, going to try to challenge for this podium. They're going to go too wide.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Gilliland and Plava come together. Gilliland's going to come back across the line in 4th place.
Quite going to get there. There's a little bit of a lock up there from the 46 car. He's gone deep.
Whoa. I don't know how everybody was able to get through that. That could have been absolute tears for that front runner.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Welcome back to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. This is the 12th and final round of the season, coming to you today from VIR. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Randall, McGrew, and Adam Thompson. And in the virtual production hauler, we have Guido Marzucchi. Usually, I'd have a whole written out open talking about how important this is. It's the final race of the season. We're here to crown some champions. But no, as all of you are probably aware, this is our final broadcast with Mr. Thompson, so we're just here to have a hell of a lot of fun. I gotta say, right off the bat, Adam, I know you're probably still in tears looking at that open video. I just want to say, right off rip, I absolutely love being a part of this company, and I am so happy to have been a part of this adventure over the past couple of months, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep the company in good hands for you, man. But here for the final race of this Weekend Warriors Formula Ford season, we're here. We're going to have a good time. We're just going to have some fun today, Adam.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be an absolute blast here. Final race of the season, and we could not go anywhere, any better place than VIR, Ron. It's going to be an absolute blast here. I'm looking at qualifying right now. We're actually looking at Jason Green here. Jason Green is a little bit further back than I expected him to be at VIR. Ian Joyner, obviously up there at the top, but Jorg Monty, Randall, the janitor, is still cleaning it up right now in P3. He doesn't have a draft either. He may have gotten a draft for that lap, but now he's leading this train. VIR is going to be one of those tracks, even in the Formula Fords, that you have to get some draft, Randall, to get a good quality lap.
Absolutely. The slipstream is going to play a huge role here. Expect this race to be decided on the last lap on the big straightaway. Going into roller coaster, that's where the move for the win is most likely to happen, be it a actual overtake or an incident involving multiple drivers and somebody sneaking up from behind and getting a surprise victory like we've seen a few times this season across the Weekend Warriors. But yes, slipstream, absolutely the most important thing at this track.
And I think considering that we are still rather early on into this qualifying session, just ticked over the halfway mark a minute and a half ago, let's take a look at those championship points, because we still do have some champions to be decided. We crowned 3 yesterday for the Formula Vs, and we're going to crown 3 today here for the Formula Fords. Let's take a look at Spec 1. It's pretty much lock steady that Ian Joyner is going to be your champion. 923 points. He has been an alien ever since the drop of the green flag for the opening race at Silverstone. He has been stupidly quick in that number 8 car. So Ian Joyner is going to be your champion at the end of this race. Let's take a look at Spec 2, though, because that class has been rather interesting all throughout the season. And here's how it stands. Bill Walker is currently leading the championship at 527 points. Boris Essman slotted only 11 points back in P2. Jeff Wubker only 6 points back of Essman in P3. That's a 3-horse race for the Spec 2 championship. All those drivers have been able to grab a couple of wins thus far this season. Should be noted that despite grabbing a lot of them, Jeff Jacobson slotted 9th, hasn't had the most consistent season in the 240 car, hasn't shown up to every single week, but he certainly grabbed a lion's share of victories throughout the season. So that's how it looks like in Spec 2, and hope you enjoy that close championship fight, because in the Masters category, we do not have it. Jorg Monty, he basically locked up the championship about a month ago. He has pissed off into the distance with the championship crowns in all of our classes. 841 points. That is pure unbridled insanity. Randall, you've called him the janitor for a very good reason. He's grabbed 10 wins thus far this season in 11 races. Absolute dominance from Monty.
Yeah, ever since I started commentating on the Weekend Warriors, Jorg Monty has seemed to have been a bit snake bitten when it comes to luck during the race, often taken out in incidents, sometimes his fault, sometimes not his fault, but he had a lot of trouble seeing checkered flags for multiple seasons from many different issues. This season, he's finally put it together, and he's putting it together in stellar fashion. I can't think of a superlative to actually describe the season that he's had across all 3 leagues of the Weekend Warriors this season, because he is, like I've said, cleaning up everything. The janitor is making his mark.
Well, I mean, we're talking about somebody that maybe that all of that bad luck from Monty has rubbed off to the driver we're looking at right now, Antonio Reese. We want to talk about, Ron, somebody that has had bad luck throughout this season. It has got to be Antonio Reese. He is a extremely quick driver, one of the drivers we always tend to see at the front of the pack, but Let's talk about anvils. I think anvils have rubbed off from Michelle, and then obviously all of Monty's bad luck has gone to Antonio Reese this season.
Yeah, I like how you have to consult the falling anvil expert to try and give a concise breakdown on the amount of anvils that have dropped down on Antonio Reese. Outside of Jurgmani, though, Antonio Reese has had a very good season in the Masters category just because he's the only driver outside of Jurgmani to grab a Masters win thus far here in the Formula Fords. That came at Donington Park, and I think Monty really made up for it by the fact that 2 weeks later he won the race overall at Okayama. So that was, I mean, there's really no other way to describe the season from Jurgmani other than absolutely kick-ass, I think would be the best way that I would put it.
Yeah, and speaking of kick-ass, we've got Ian Joyner up in the front of the grid, and we are going on board here with Ethan Orr. Randall, do your thing, buddy.
Yeah, Ethan's going to bring the car over to the left-hand side of the track to open up the entry to turn one. You want to get over to that apex curbing about where that yellow and green starts and then stay there until it ends. You're going to keep a nice tight line through turn two. Then you're going to kind of sweep through turn three and maybe not hit the apex. You want to open up the entry to NASCAR as much as possible. It's an exercise in trail braking. Keep the car over the right-hand side of the track for this very sharp left-hander. And then the entry to the snake, this turn complex here is very tricky to keep the grip in the car, and you may hear them even short shift a bit to keep the rear end in control as they come through 4A and 4B and into the snake. Now the uphill run through the S's, this is easily flat out in most cars, especially so in the Formula Ford. You may see somebody get a little punchy coming up to this part of the track, but we're going to enter South Bend, which is very dangerous. An earlier turn in than you would expect and use all of the width of the track. Bring the car back to the left and set up for the double right-hander that is called Oak Tree. Despite the Oak Tree no longer being there, you want a nice apex there on the second corner of Oak Tree and get to that throttle as early as possible because it will pay off the entire run down this straightaway. This is where the slipstream is going to come into huge effect, and this is where we'll see majority of the passing moves here at the end of this straightaway. He's going to keep the car to the right. He's going to try to straighten out this uphill left and then into a right, and then it goes to downhill, down into another left, followed by another left and down into Hogpen. So it's a downhill run through here. Very tricky. You want to use the curbs to your advantage. You're going to see them really clobber these curbs as they come down the hill. And they're going to stay a little bit wide of the apex curbing there in Hogpen and try to keep that wheel as straight as possible for a good run down the front straightaway. Turn one is another good passing opportunity. So if you get a good run out of Hogpen, can really set you up for a good move into turn one.
Randall, I was on an FV broadcast with Ron yesterday and Joshua Wilkie, and we talked about going into roller coaster. There is a wall to the right-hand side there that will shoot you out back into the track. Do you expect that to come into play, especially going too wide into roller coaster, which we will probably see?
I've done many races here at VIR, and it's not really something you think about foremost in your mind, but the second you see trouble ahead, you're well aware of that barrier and how it tends to shoot things back into traffic. So you have to kind of keep your guard up and be aware of what's happening in front of you. It's not something that's really present in your mind as you make laps through here, but the second that there's trouble, you have to be aware that that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ron, I'm going to do a thing that I normally do. I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask you, I need you to give me predictions before we get to the race. I need you to give me an overall winner today, other than Ian Joyner. Let's go overall second place, Ron.
Overall second place. Okay, so we're just going to assume that Ian Joyner is going to win the race in this case. Is that what we're going to be playing at here? I think that may be what we're potentially playing at here.
Yes.
I'm looking through. You know, Jurgmani showing some very good pace again. Currently a third place overall qualifier.
Is that Trent Kramer?
Obviously top of
Oh, no, that's Tor.
Tortello quick there as well. Trent Kramer slotted in fourth. Ian Joyner, though, just improved on his lap. So going up again as Tortello goes into the runoff area and does some nice little loop-de-loos in the big plot of grass on the outside of the start-finish straightaway here. I have a good feeling about Tor, though. You know, we sealed the deal with the Spec 1 Championship in the Formula V Weekend Warriors yesterday here, Adam. I feel like it's really tough to try and discredit the driver of the number 27 car.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't really ever bet anything against Tortolo. I mean, the guy's fast in anything. He started running the Formula V or the Formula Fords now. He has been a big Formula V driver in the Weekend Warriors for as long as I've been here. Oh my goodness, Fabian. Thank you, buddy. But yeah, anyways, he has been a very, very big driver. Yeah, in the Formula Vs for a long time. But to see Tor doing what he is now in the Formula Fords, that's when you know a driver is just good no matter what he runs, Ron, and I expect him to be up there, hopefully battling for second, maybe can take the fight to Ian Joyner, but let's be honest, Randall, it's been tough the whole time.
I'm going to buck the trend here, and I'm going to predict my second place finisher is going to be Ian Joyner. I think there's going to be something that happens in the last lap. I'm going to go with the janitor. I think the janitor is going to win everything today and seal off an immaculate season with an incredible win.
I will note about that as well. I'm pretty sure York Monty has a really good shot of being the biggest point scorer from the entirety of this Formula Ford Weekend Warrior season. He has been that quick, that consistent, and I think an overall win would just about seal it for him, and a brilliant season that he has had. And just kind of talking about York Monty and some of the bad luck he's had in past seasons, I think it was, I can't remember what series it was. It may have been the Formula Vs or the Formula Fords or the Spec Racer Fords. Pick one of the three. No one really cares. But I remember having a chat with him at the end of one of those broadcasts, and he was talking about how dejected and demoralized he was a couple of seasons ago. Because when I first got onto the Weekend Warriors full time, at least about a year ago, I remember Jorg getting struck by falling anvil after falling anvil. Every single time he found himself in a good spot, something would come down and crash on his head. And it doesn't matter where that falling anvil comes from. If you're the one with a dent in your skull, you're going to be the one feeling the pain in the morning. But York Monty has completely turned that around. He has been stupidly quick, stupidly consistent, and I think you're right, Randall. A win for him in this race would just about seal it. But we're at the end of this qualifying session now, the checkered flag out, and waiting for a few more drivers left to cross the line. Randall, what driver of the ones to set a time do you think is the one that's sticking out the most to you?
Sticking out to most of me right now is Trenton Kramer up in the top 5. He's not a slow driver at all, and I have a feeling that he's a bit of a VIR specialist. This is one of those tracks, kind of like the Nordschleife, that brings out a lot of specialists. So seeing him up that high in qualifying, not totally surprising, but definitely exceptional for him, and looking forward to him having a good race.
And certainly looking forward to have a good race to bring this season to a close. It has been a rather exciting season here for the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. When there hasn't been torrential amounts of rain, we've had some really good dry running, and even some of the rain races we've had throughout the season have really been intense. And I'm suspecting that VIR is going to be absolutely no exception. It put on a banger in the Formula Vs yesterday, and I have a feeling the Formula Fords are going to be no exception. But I think the checkered flag has been out for this qualifying session for quite some time. We can move over to the race and get that starting grid loaded up for one final time from this season. Ian Joyner, the Brit, as he's done throughout a decent chunk of the season, will start from the pole. The number 8 car, Tortolo, set to join him on the front row. We have Jorg Monty starting this race in 3rd, Trent Kramer in P4. Then we have Jason Green in 5th, Soren Garrett's in 6th, Ethan Orr, the Spec 2 pole sitter, going to be starting this race in P7. Next to Juan Garcia, the Canadian, in 8th, Antonio Reese in 9th. Alan DeGuess is going to round out your top 10. I'll let you take that. Drivers outside the top 10.
Kevin Adrian's going to start it in 11th with Daniel Verone starting in 12th place. In 13th place, we've got Fabian Singer. Fabian, thank you so much, by the way. I know we went on board with you. Awesome. Joshua Wilkie, my man, Joshua Wilkie, the man, the myth, the legend, starting in 14th. Keith Dalton in 15th with Boris Essman in 16th. John Toms starting in 17th position with Chris Montgomery in 18th. Andrew Love in 19th. Jeff Wupker in 20th. Stevie Ray in 21st with Edgar Sancinelli in 22nd. Paul Jackson going to round out your 23-car grid here to start and finish the final race of whatever season 1 of 2025 for Formula Fords.
I like the inflection that you added when you were announcing Stevie and Edgar's names there. It kind of sounded like the introduction, like trying to introduce some WWE wrestlers there. But
oh yes,
Randall, I'll pass it back off to you because I'm not really sure what to say about what Mr. Thompson said a couple of moments ago.
Well, we only have 23 cars starting today, which is a fair number of cars to put on a track. It is quite a bit a smaller field than we're normally seeing here in the Formula Fords for Weekend Warriors. That could be a deciding factor for the Spec 2 championship. If one of those contenders has a bad race, he won't fall nearly as far back as he would have if there's 30 cars. So that could be what ultimately decides this championship, be it drop weeks or just how they perform today. The fact that there's only 23 cars here could have a massive impact.
Yeah, that could have a huge impact in how things are going to work out for this race. I'm looking through, where is Bill Walker? Is he even here with us? I don't think Bill Walker is out there on the track. So Boris Essman, Jeff Wubker going to be out there. That may end up sealing it in terms of the Spec 2 championship. But again, we do have drop rounds, so a lot can change once you get the math involved. And trust me, not going to do any math for this broadcast because I don't want my room to fill up with smoke. But ready to get things up and rolling for the final race of this season. It's been a brilliant one up to this point. Only one more 40-minute race set to begin in a couple of
here we go
time.
again.
They're already stacking up. Don't want to have a crash like we saw in the Formula V's yesterday, but the green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. It's the 8-car Ian Joyner jumping out to a very early lead. York Monty and Tortolo going to be side by side, heading down into turn number 1. Monty maybe going to go for the dive. Look at that. Jason Green and making contact with himself and Trent Kramer. Kramer going up into the air. That could have ended in tears. Jason Green clearly breaking those elbows out early on, Adam.
Yeah, let's see if he got any damage to his car. That is not something you see Jason Green do often, and I love to see it, especially against somebody like Trenton Kramer here. Oh, we've got more carnage in the background.
And that was heading through NASCAR bend of turn number 3. Think multiple cars got a piece of that action. Potentially Daniel Verone. He's dropped down like a rock through the running order. Stevie Ray, don't tell me he got a piece of that trouble as well. But as these drivers come out of the stake for the first time, about to careen their way into the S's. Outside of a couple of blips here and there, Randall, it's been a rather smooth start.
Yeah, we did see some trouble there in turn 1 and then a NASCAR bend, but right now it looks like Ian Joyner was able to get a good start. I'm not sure why these drivers keep getting caught sleeping with Ian Joyner leading the way here. He does pretty much the same thing every race. Doesn't go necessarily right out of the last corner, lets the field kind of compress a bit, then goes and seems to catch everybody off guard every single time. Jörg Mandy, though, has been able to close the gap up and is now right there in his slipstream. We might see a pass for the lead. Is that Antonio Reese? No, it's Soren Garrett and Antonio Reese. Yes, it was Antonio Reese looking to the inside. He's doing it, Randall. On the run. And here comes Jörg Mandy on the inside, going to get this move possibly done. No, Joyner's going to fight back and touch the grass. And there goes Joyner off, and now he's going to have a lot of making up to do. Jörg Mandy going to be the new leader of this race.
Oh my God, York Monty, the janitor, just cleans up Ian Joyner going into roller coaster there. Dal, here's the deal. He is stacked up just a little bit behind him, but York Monty sitting in first place right now. I don't think that stack up really hurt them too terribly bad here. Looking at the interval, Antonio Reese, Ian Joyner, he's only 0.3 of a second back, so I think it's okay. Soren Garrett, though, is 0.7 of a second back off of Jason Green, and that's something we have to start thinking about here, Randall.
Oh, we got trouble there in front of Antonio Reese, and a couple more are going to get collected into that incident. That's going to take a couple of these drivers out. It looks like Ethan Orr and Kevin Adrian both struck in turn 1, so unfortunate early into this race. They're going to get going again. It's kind of ruined their results, effectively ending the race, even though they're going to continue on. Jörg Manny back here in the lead. This is a dangerous position. Jörg's not really one to save fuel, but leading here at VIR can tend to be the bad move.
Yeah, even in these Formula Fords, which aren't the biggest race cars in the world, we've seen fuel mileage play a huge factor in these races up to this point. Jörg Monty, though, Wilkie does not care at all. As I think Josh Wilkie, maybe having a couple of moments ago, potentially going side by side nearly with himself and Trent Kramer heading down into South Bend. That could have ended in tears. Kramer has gone off to a stinker of a start. He's down in P12, down 8 spots from where he started in this race. Himself and Ian Joyner getting off, what's the opposite of a flyer? Getting off to a crasher of a start.
That's quite literally what happened there. Jason Green put his elbows out. Finally, it only took him 13 races to do it. Jason Green absolutely stuck his elbows out. Trenton tried to come down. Did not happen. A bit of a swapperoo here. Tortello now in the lead going into roller coaster. And Ron, I want to mention this. You've been on a lot of these broadcasts. Look at Mr. Jason Green and Tortello. They always seem to find a way to be very close.
Don't know what it is. They just stick together all the time. It's like adopting a pair of like bonded cats or something like that. It's insane seeing what we've had with Tortello and Jason Green. The Formula Vs, they've given us 2 championship battles in a row. And here for the Formula Fords, they always find each other out there on the racetrack. But here's drivers getting a bit too acclimatized with each other. Could see Stevie Ray getting a piece of that action. Andrew Love had to go off the circuit. I think Daniel Verone got the short end of the stick out of all of that. And here you can see Andrew trying to take evasive action. Credit where credit's due to the driver of the 544 car, Andrew Love, getting away with that incident without any real damage on that race car, Randall. He had to pull off some matrix moves to get away with that.
Yes, in order to have a good finish in a race, you have to finish, and the best way to do that is to not have any damage on the car. So Andrew Love prioritizing his equipment and doing some Neo-like maneuvers to get through that incident scot-free. So he may have lost some time, but it's gonna yield him positions at the end of the race.
And looking at how things are developing very early on, Tortello in the race lead. Jorg Monty, your current Masters leader, slotted in P2. Jason Green occupying your final podium spot, albeit he's got a challenge with himself and Soren Garrett. Ian Joyner, though, dropping back a teeny tiny bit. It's not a huge gap between himself and Soren Garrett, but he's not really making the inroads that we would have thought for the driver who grabbed the pole, has been alien thus far this season, and it's just been stupidly quick. Here's Fabian Singer certainly winning the hearts and currently winning in Spec 2 as we go back to the driver winning this race overall. That is Tortello. Jorg Monty maybe going to try and get a move done.
Here we go.
Deja vu to what we saw with Monty and Joyner earlier on. Let's see if someone else gets shaken at. Look at that. Monty getting that move done. Tullo backing out of it before the braking toe. But look at that. Garrett's nearly coming in for the kill.
Ooh.
That could have ended in tears, Adam.
Yeah, Soren Garrett just absolutely took all of that liberty. Said, Jason, you're going to back off and let Tor in? Fine, I'm going to go around you. That's exactly what happened there. Soren Garrett's now into P3. I think Tor did back off just a little bit to let Jorg Monty get in front of him before roller coaster, and that is something I'm going to talk about time in and time out. But Tor is not one to back out if he doesn't want to. It is too wide going down the front stretch. Looking back here, though, looking at Trenton Kramer, he may be doing it too. Now almost 3 wide. There goes Tor. Looks like Monty's still holding on to that inside line. Soren Garrett might try to make it 3 wide here.
Oh, here we go. Heading down into NASCAR. Ben Tullo trying to get that move done on Monty. Gets it done successfully to slip his way back up into the race lead. Garrett's not close enough to go for that move. And now Garrett's is maybe going to feel a little bit of pressure from Jason Green in the 160 car. Jason is always such a patient driver in these races, sometimes even to his own detriment, but I think he knows what's at risk today. Later on this afternoon, he's going to be in contention for a Spec Racer Ford Championship in Spec 1, so he knows that there's any time to bring out the flamethrower. It's now, but here we go. They nearly went side by side, that being Monty and Garrett entering the S's. That could have ended in tears. Randall, I'm going to ask you this. How much of a disaster could side-by-side racing off through the S's end in?
It can end in disaster anytime you go side by side, particularly so through the S's. Normally, though, these drivers could make it clean through the S's side by side, but what's really going to hurt them if they do that is that Tortello is just going to drive away if they start fighting through a section like that. So Soren Garrett's very wisely backing out. It's very tempting with the slipstream in these cars, even at speeds like they're running through the S's, that they're going to be tempted to go side by side like they're doing now. Ian Joyner trying to get the spot back from Jason Green. And they're 3 wide. Here comes Soren Garrett's up the inside. There's a little bit of contact, but Jorg shakes it off like Taylor Swift and continues running. But that's going to put Soren Garrett into the lead of this race.
No way. No way you just said that, Randall. Ron, it's up to you, man.
I'm not touching that one. That was about as cheesy as he could possibly get. Soren Garrett's, though, breaking the elbows out to slip his way up into the race lead. That could have ended in absolute disaster. Heading down into turn number 14. They got away with it rather scot-free. Not sure if they want to try and go for a repeat of that. Actually, right as I say that, they're going to make it 3 wide. Heading down into turn number 1. These drivers don't want to crash into each other. They certainly don't want to have bad blood with their competitors, Adam.
Oh, jeez.
No, they can't. I don't even know what to say. I never thought in a million years that Randall McGrew would come out with the Taylor Swift reference. Bad blood. Yeah, Rod, bad blood. They're still 2 wide, maybe 2 wide. Going through now, turn number 3, but it looks like they've all made it through NASCAR and now back up again through the snake.
And I'm not sure if we should touch the Taylor Swift references anymore because we got a lot of good racing action going on all throughout this field. Gotta take a look at a replay of a moment a little bit farther in the back involving Alan DeGassis. Oh, and he got clipped. Not sure who that was that tapped him around, but that was DeGassis spinning through turn number 1, very similar to what we saw yesterday in the Formula V race. So DeGassis clearly not a fan of the horseshoe around this racetrack, Adam.
No, it's not. And I'm not a fan of the horseshoe around this racetrack either. So, Alan, you're not the only person that hates it. But here we go again down the backstretch, Ron. And this is going to be something I think we're going to see quite a bit. Jorgmani close enough to be able to get that slipstream. Now, the question is Soren going to be as nice as everyone else has been? Is Soren going to let him go? Because we did see Soren almost try to force it 3 wide into roller coaster. Soren goes over to the right. Looks like Jorgmani's going to get by him. Tortello just hangs out back there. This breakaway now has turned into about 6 cars. Now I say that, now we can start seeing more come into roller coaster, but I'm starting to wonder a bit about Jason Green here, Ron, and I'm wondering if a little bit of damage may have come from that Trenton Kramer incident, because it doesn't look like he can get through the corners nearly as quick as everyone else in this top pack.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to fall back into the crutches of Juan Garcia and Fabian Singer right behind. That could end in tears if that turns into a small low battle, and would certainly break this battle up a little bit. As look at this, 5 cars heading their way down into turn number 1, basically 2 by 2. Jorgmani trying to get into the race lead. Garrett and Tullo side by side on corner exit. This is looking real intense here, Randall. What I'm seeing from these drivers currently is these drivers boiling something on a stove, but every single time they crank the heat up, it gets closer and closer to boiling over.
Absolutely. And it's allowed Ian Joyner to recover from the incident earlier in the race. And now he's right there with the leaders. He's in a good position to be saving fuel too. And I've after watching Ian Joyner dominate the season, I can tell you that he's one of the experts at fuel saving just with normal driving. So in a position like this, he's going to be saving a lot of fuel. Won't be surprised to see him come out of the pits in the lead of this race once the strategy shakes out. And Joshua Wilkie on the move too. He's up quite a few spots. He's got a gap in front of him now that he needs to close. He's leading this group. That gap up to Fabian Singer just about 3 seconds, but he is on the move.
He is, and I wanted to talk about that. I was just looking at the timing screen there. Joshua Wilkie up 5 positions. Finally, Joshua Wilkie is having an okay race, but we are only still about 10 minutes, 11 minutes into this race. So anything can happen. Here we go. Does Fabian or does Soren try to stay behind? Looks like, oh my goodness, Soren actually maybe almost trying to push Monty, but here comes Tortello.
Ooh, and here we go, heading down into roller coaster. They decide to go through their single file, which I think may be the smart call. I mean, we've had a very action-packed first 10 minutes of this race. I don't think these drivers want to show off the cards they have in their hand too early. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself being screwed towards the end of this race. There's no other way to describe it. Jorgmani, though, has always been sneaky throughout this season. As much as he doesn't really care for taking it easy and fuel saving or anything like that, he always just strikes at the best time imaginable in these races. Look at that, though, banging wheels between Tortello and look at that, Ian Joyner nearly getting hit by Antonio Reese, getting hit up the back coming out of turn number 1. That could have ended in tears, but Tullo and Joyner were banging wheels heading down into turn number 1. Randall, that was so close to an absolute catastrophe.
I've been watching these drivers come in through turn 1, and we're going to take a look at a replay here. Is this Trenton Kramer, the see you later alligator, having trouble again? Is it going to be in turn 1? Is he going to see all this stuff developing in front of him and maybe thinking this is my chance to close that gap up, misses his braking mark just a little bit, carries too much speed there through turn 1 and spins it around on his own, going to wait for traffic to clear before he rejoins. So a good rejoin out of Trenton Kramer, but not the best race for him today.
Sorry, Randall, I got to do it. Trent? See you later, alligator. Trent is no longer in this top pack, back into 13th position. We do have a bit of some dicing going on, but here, Jason Green, Juan Garcia, Antonio Reese. Antonio Reese is actually falling down the grid. I wonder what happened with Antonio. Maybe a bit of a mistake going through South Bend. I hope that's what it was, but we are starting to see a definite gap forming between 8th and 9th, Ron.
Yeah, and you can see side-by-side racing flaring up yet again between Garrett and Monty. Look at Tortello, maybe got sides up a move on these two heading down into roller coaster. Garrett jumps into the race lead. Monty falls back down to second. Tello still slotted in third. We'll note about that Trent Kramer incident heading down into turn number 1. It's been a really rough race for him, so I think once we leave VIR, he won't want to be back here in a while, Crocodile. But Garrett's in the race lead. Monty slotted in second. Garrett's has had a very good race up to this point, up 5 spots from where he started this race from, which is making him one of the hard chargers. Lots of drivers cutting their way through the field like a hot knife through butters. Antonio Reese has made the call to come into the pits, Randall.
Yes, he is. He's normally one of the first ones to make the stop for fuel. If it's not him, it's Stevie Ray. As we see John Toms there getting onto the brakes and letting the leaders go by. I was wondering how that was going to develop, because if he hadn't have done that, the leaders would have been coming onto him at this section of the track or possibly through the S's, and it would have been a bit of chaos.
Oh,
Take a look here at what happened with Jason Green and Antonio Reese as they come through South Bend. Doesn't look like either of them made a mistake. Antonio Reese maybe starting a slowdown there would be my guess. Is that most likely he got a slowdown in turn 4 or through the snake, and he decided there was a good place to serve it, and it was a really well executed service of that slowdown. So he was able to stay clear, service slowdown, not lose too much extra time, not too many positions, and get back on the road in anger.
That was well executed, but here's the problem. Jason Green has now lost that gap. I don't know if Jason Green is close enough with 4 cars in a draft in front of him, Ron.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Jason at all. He's going to have to put his nose to the grindstone and try and close up this gap a lot to Ian Joyner. The drift not too powerful in these Formula Fords, but he certainly want that drift benefit both for the fuel mileage cause and for the top speed cause, doubly so heading down this massively long back straightaway, as I think the side-by-side racing is flaring up yet again. Let's see who's going to grab the lead now. Oh my God, I think they're nearly going 3 wide, a little bit farther up at the front, nearly 2x2 heading down into roller coaster. Monty, contact made Monty around.
The janitor gets cleaned out this time at the top of the hill and going into roller coaster. It looked like a little bit of contact there between he and Garrett's. Not 100% clear from Jason Green's view, but that fighting did allow Jason Green to close that gap back up and join this top 4 breakaway. It was 5-car breakaway. Now it's 4 again.
That has helped Jason Green, though, get back into this lead pack. Kind of. Ian Joyner just a little bit further behind, and it sounds like we are about to go back to a replay here. I think Soren Garrett's maybe one, and Jorg Money involved in this as well, Ron.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Heading down into turn number 14, you see Monty trying to get that move done on the inside line. Now, the inside line through here, it's not the inside line. You have the inside through there, but then they switch back to the outside through the main corner, and that was 2 cars fighting for the same piece of real estate. Be careful on the rejoin, Jorg. I can imagine he's rather upset with how things have gone for him with that moment involving Garrett. May need to take a look at another replay of that, maybe another angle, this time possibly riding on board with Soren Garrett in that number 21 car to see how exactly that all went. I think he was rather non-committal in terms of backing out of it or going for that move. Monty didn't really know whether or not Garrett was going to be there on the inside, and as a result, it came to blows. Let's see. And down into the corner, you can see they nearly came to blows before. Yeah, there was netcode, probably about a foot separating those 2 cars at them, but still contact would probably been made regardless. I think regardless of that netcode, I think they will have come to blows, but just an unlucky incident for the both of them.
Yeah, I think so. And we saw that same exact incident. Sorry, Randall. We saw that same incident on turn 1, lap 1 with Trenton Kramer and Jason Green. The same thing happened. It just looks like maybe Trent didn't expect Jason to not back out. And I don't know if Jorg didn't expect Soren to not back out, but it's okay. I don't think he's really hurt that badly, Randall.
Yeah, if I put my stewarding hat on for a moment, I'm not going to actually assign blame here, but what I will say from Soren Garrett's is it was a very optimistic move that I'm not sure the stewards will kindly on.
Don't do it, CV. Don't do it, CV.
Having some issues at the top of the roller coaster, manages to keep the car from getting damaged too much, maybe a bit of floor damage going over some of them bumps, but rejoins the track. Stevie Ray also pit on the same lap as Antonio Reese, so both of them doing that early pit strategy, so it gave him a bit of room to make a mistake without actually impacting anybody else's race. But here comes Ian Joyner now in 3rd place and knocking on the door of the leaders.
Randall, Juan Garcia, fastest lap of the race, just now across the line. So keep an eye out for Juan. He is starting to come in quickly towards the end of this race. We're not even halfway through yet. So let's see if Juan can keep that momentum up. He's behind Jason Green. He was really not in the slipstream that much from Jason Green. Juan Garcia, that is a driver to look for here.
Damn it, you took the bit of commentary right out of my mouth there, Adam. I was just going to note that Juan Garcia was closing, but speaking of closing, look at that, nearly side-by-side, heading down into the S's. I think these drivers simply have no fear. They've gone side-by-side through the S's, side-by-side through Oak Tree, of course, side-by-side and 3 wide through turn number 1 at this point. There's not a lot that a Weekend Warriors driver can do that would really shock me. But as it stands currently, coming up to the halfway mark in a couple of moments' time, let's run through things have gone thus far. Tortello finds himself in the race lead. Jörg Mani, despite that incident we saw him involved in through turn number 14 of Roller Coaster not terribly long ago, he still finds himself in the Masters lead, and Fabian Singer still leading it in Spec 2, but side-by-side racing with Garrett and Tullo, heading down that back straightaway, nearly coming to blows with Tullo running off into the grass. Let's see this. Oh, boy! Joyner coming in hot. This is not going to work. Oh, that could have ended in tears. Holy cow.
A near miss out of Ian Joyner, and I hate to go back to something. We're going to get a replay of this. Yes, this is definitely worth looking at. We're going to see Ian Joyner. He's going to see that Tortello was in the grass and maybe doesn't anticipate him to break earlier like he does. And
oh my God,
what a near miss there. You know that he was absolutely panicking when standing on that brake pedal, hoping that he would not make contact with anybody. Luckily for him, no contact made. He does come into the pit lane immediately after that, so we'll see if he's able to get going once again and if how much time he actually lost out of that. It kind of split up this breakaway a little bit, and I hate to bring up old news with Jörg Mani, but
no,
we're gonna get another view of this, and yes, this is spectacularly close to an incident here that.
Ow!
Luck and prayer is the only way to explain that right there. That is the only way that he didn't take anybody else with him, and he's probably the happiest person on track right now, even though he lost a bunch of time. I'm going to go back to Jörg Mani. He's kind of on an island right now. He's back in 5th place, but this might be the prime position for him to be at the end of the race. If these leaders get crazy going into Roller Coaster, he could be in a spot to clean up another win.
As it stands currently, we have had a brilliant race up to this point. That close call, though, heading down into turn 14, I don't really I felt fear myself just in the commentary booth seeing Ian Joyner coming for the. I thought we were going to see a glorified round of bowling there, Adam. I'll be completely honest.
We did, and I'm trying to listen to Guido here. So Guido, I'm going to be quiet for 1 second. I'm going to let you say it. I know you guys can't hear him on stream. What's going on, Guido? Oh, yes, call the Sunday races is what he's saying. So are you? Oh, yep. See, I'm screwing this up. It's all right. It's my last one, so it doesn't matter. So are we talking about what's going on for the rest of the week, Guido? And now he's. Copy that. Okay, moving on here. So we do have a few things coming up here for the rest of the Sunday. Ron, we're going to be here again in about an hour and a half. It's probably 2 hours at this point with the I messed that up real bad with the Spec Racer Fords. So that's going to be a good one as well. So we got Spec Racer Fords moving on, and then Cross Series League Racing tonight at Kokomo, Ron. I don't think you're going to be on that call tonight, but we do have a couple of very, very, very good races still coming up and some championships to be decided still.
Yeah, some champions left to be crowned, and not just this Formula Ford series, but the Spec Racer Fords coming up later on. We got a real barn burner of a championship fight in the Spec 1 category between Felix Samoas and Jason Green. Jason Green not really having as great of a day that he probably had in mind here for the Formula Fords, but still been a rather brilliant season here for the Weekend Warriors. And also coming up in 1 week's time, we'll be touching on this between now and the end of the show for sure, is the other stuff coming up in 1 week's time in the form of the Week 13 V runoffs here from the Weekend Warriors world. 3 different races, the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and the Spec Racer Fords, all in one day. No one really knows where we're running at. That is left to be determined come time for that broadcast and come time for
Sounds
those
like
races.
Josh knows.
You'll be able to find. Yeah, Josh Wilkie does know. I have tried to bribe him with about 75 bottles of maple syrup, and he has not been willing to give up that information. He would be a fantastic asset for the CIA, Randall.
Especially if you can pay him in maple syrup. We still see this lead battle going on. Jörg Manny's now 4th place, and that's because Juan Garcia has come into the pits and he did not have a fast pit stop. So Juan Garcia may have taken himself out of the running for this race. He was stopped for 18 seconds, and I'm looking at most of the drivers are stopping anywhere between 15 and a half and 16 seconds. So that's going to put Juan on the back foot a bit when it comes to strategy. Soren Garrett's Tortello, Jason Green keeping it pretty calm here in this stage of the race. They're kind of just clicking off laps until they come into the pits. They're likely going to stretch this out as much as possible before they come into the pits. Likely we'll see all 3 cars together. Jörg Manny might consider pitting with them at the same time. He'll be able to close a bit of that gap if he's able to attack the pit entry with the gap in front of him there. He can be a little bit more aggressive than the likes of Jason Green. So, but anytime now, we'll see the leaders come into the pit lane.
We have Tam asking if Boris Esman is out. Tam, I can tell you that Boris Esman is out. I don't know why. I'm looking through our overlay system here, and I don't see any type of incident with Boris Esman, so maybe he just decided to pull it off and stop the car. But there are a couple people here that I'm trying to look at right now, and that is Antonio Reese. Randall, we talk about how early Antonio Reese comes into the pits. Look at him. He's the first person that has stopped right now, and he is now in the lead for all of the drivers that have stopped. Now, the question is, you wonder if these drivers up top know that, and that's why they're being very, very calm.
I don't think that they necessarily know that Antonio Reese is in the position that he's in. His gap right now is about 40 and a half seconds. So not really in position to come out with the overall race lead, but definitely in a position to be fighting for that top 5 after everybody comes into the pits. So we can keep an eye on Antonio Reese, but not going to be looking for the race win out of him, I expect.
Stevie Ray has just joined the chat in case you didn't hear from the symbols, but we're watching a replay here looking at Soren Garrett and Tortello right behind him.
No.
Soren doesn't. Oh no! There's that wall I was talking about, Randall. That's the wall.
And an unforced error is going to end Soren Garrett's day. That didn't look like there was anything that caused that other than maybe just missing his brake mark and carrying a little bit too much speed. Not something you normally see out of these drivers. So that breakaway is now just 2 cars because Jason Green is coming to the pit, and that allowed Jörg Manny to close that gap up. He's knocking on the back door of Tortello right now. So Jörg Manny back in this race.
That was a huge mistake at the end of that back straightaway. Let's see how Tortello was able to negotiate this. Slowing down a lot, understandably so. He did not want to get pinged off the track as Soren Garrett's ponged into the wall. That was absolutely horrendous. But Soren Garrett's taken out of this race as a result. He's going to have to spend a decent chunk of time down pit lane to try and repair that race car. But at the front of the field, it's Tortello now leading it over Jason Green. Ian Joyner last time by, though, just at the 5th lap of the race at a 157.8. So as much as Ian Joyner has certainly not had a very smooth race by his standards, it hasn't been completely uncharacteristic. Still showing that usual alien pace, Adam.
He absolutely is, but look at what's happened to Joshua Wilkie right now, sitting back there in 3rd place, 3 seconds behind Tortello and Jörg Manny. Randall, I'm going to throw this off to you. When do these drivers pit? They have to be pitting soon. They're side by side.
Yeah, they're going to be pitting anytime. If I'm in Joshua Wilkie's seat, I'm going to be pitting this time by, regardless of when the driver's ahead pit, hoping that they stay out for another lap because the undercut does have a bit of power here if you're able to undercut by exactly 1 lap because you carry so much speed down that front straightaway, and those coming off the pit lane don't necessarily have that same speed. Right now, Jörg Manny back to the lead of this race. We'll see if he decides to dip into pit lane, and if Tortello follows him. Yes, here comes Tor. I bet Josh Wilkie comes in as well.
Let's see him in that number 23 car trying to hit that pit lane speed line under the limit. He gets in without any further incident. There's Alan DeGassis, who we saw spun around heading through the first corner not terribly long ago. He currently finds himself in 4th at the present moment, and looking like an okay recovery drive if he can keep it on the road and keep the same pace up. He's going to come into the pits, though, at the end of this lap, but my attention is going to be on who's going to exit out with the race lead. Is it going to be Tortolo? Is it going to be Jörg Monty? Jason Green may get involved in this battle as well. He is going to be fast in that 160 car. Let's see how this works out with those drivers coming out of the pits. Jason Green gonna blow their doors off. He already came down pit lane, spent less time down in the pits than Monty and Tolo. So Jason Green playing the strategy card to perfection. Let's see how it works for the 160.
Yeah, Jason Green was stopped for 3 seconds shorter than Jörg Manny and 2.5 seconds shorter than Tortolo. So hopefully he's not in a situation where he's going to have to manage that fuel. But right now he has a big gap. He doesn't have enough of a gap to save fuel without these other drivers catching up. So he's going to have to manage this race perfectly. Otherwise, he might earn that always coveted Thompson trophy for fuel management.
Stevie, I want to turn this down to you right now. We have Jörg Monty, Tortolo. Jörg Monty obviously knows these cars. He's been doing it all season, but Tortolo has just started it this season. So you wonder, does Jason Green know something they don't? Jason Green gets a lot of practice in these Formula 4s during the week. Do you think Jason can make it to the end?
Yeah, that's going to be close. He's the master at fuel saving the first part of the race, though, so it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Randall, I know you are the pit master. You've gotten better at it, by the way. I want you guys to go back and watch some older slow motion broadcasting races that we covered. Randall is now the pit wizard. He used to think he was, but you weren't, Randall. Do you think Jason can make it to the end?
I think I was always the pit wizard. It's just the drivers never listened to me. Now they're starting to listen to me. I think Jason Green is in a good position to run it out here. He doesn't appear to be doing any fuel saving. That gap has stayed pretty static. He did go through the biggest fuel saving area of the track there at the end of the back straightaway. That gap did not get smaller, so it looks like he is completely on the button now, and he's got enough of a gap where he doesn't necessarily need to worry about those behind him. So if he's in a good spot for fuel, he's going to be a shoe-in for this race win. But also look at Antonio Reese.
Yeah.
We're talking about he is joined at the top 4, so if there's any fighting there, he's going to be in contention for the win here. Ian Joyner having a really good recovery too. Now going to be up to 6th place, 5th place possibly. 6th place, yes, 6th place, and going into turn 1 in front of Josh Wilkie. So Wilkie was really pushing that car, probably not doing much fuel saving, and he's going to find himself a bit further back in the order than he had hoped. But this is a tight fight between he and Juan Garcia.
I'm sorry, I get flashbacks. Ron did watch a Formula V race with myself, Jason Green. I cannot remember who else. I think it was Alan DeGasis. It got involved after turn 1. We got involved in a 3-wide battle. It did not end up well. Ron, that almost ended up about the same way ours did.
Yeah, that could have ended in absolute tears coming out of turn number 1. It's okay to go 3 wide into the horseshoe. 3 wide out of it, though, usually goes down about as well as an anvil being pushed out of a helicopter. So very lucky that those drivers single-filed out in due time. I just want to raise one point of reference to Jason Green and the fuel saving that he may or may not have to do to bring that 160 car home to grab the win in this race at VIR today. Jason Green's real-life job is all about crunching the numbers and doing math. He probably has a very good idea as to what exactly he can do in that race car. And even if he does have to do a little bit of fuel saving as well, he finds himself with a 2-second cushion back to Jörg Monty. Obviously, he doesn't want to use up that cushion too much. You know, if you have a spare parachute when you go skydiving, you don't really want to use that spare parachute, but it's a good thing that you have it, if that makes any sense at all, Adam.
It does, considering I am a C-130 mechanic, and we have a lot of people jump out of airplanes on C-130s, and they only have one parachute. And that's the thing. You would still want to bring your spare parachute. I don't know if Jason Green brought his spare parachute, and that is the thing that, like you were talking about, we need to figure out. Maybe he is. I'm watching that interval, though. It is not coming down at all. So like Randall said, which Jason, by the way, will appreciate you very, very much, because Jason is a big IndyCar driver as well, Randall. So you said he's on the button, and he is not letting that button go. I mean, there is something to be said. I don't know what Jason has done Looking at the pit lane times, 39.68 or 88 seconds. The shortest by far, other than Daniel Verone, I believe. No, John Toms spent 39.73. He is a second shorter than anybody else in this field, Randall.
Yeah, he's in a good position. He's done a lot of saving, so I expect that he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how many laps this race is going to be. We're expecting 20 laps. They're serving lap 17 now, so 3 to go the next time he crosses the line. And if he was going to need to do fuel saving, he would have already been employing that strategy because he want to get it done as early as possible. That gap has come down about 0.4 of a second over the space of 3 or 4 laps. So doesn't really look to be doing any fuel saving. And if he is doing fuel saving, it's extremely marginal.
Hey guys, I got a new nickname for you. You know that we call Manny the janitor, and with Jason knowing the numbers so well and doing what he does, I think we can start calling him the professor.
The professor.
I like that.
Yep, Jason the Professor Green. He is no longer the driver extraordinaire, Stevie. Jason the Professor Green putting down all the lap times he needs. We have about 6 minutes left in this race. Like Randall said, it's about 3 laps. And look at these lines Jason is taking. Like you said, Randall, he is cutting all of these curbs. He wants this race win.
Absolutely. He's setting quality pace laps, I would suspect right now. His last lap was a 58.3. This lap, we're about to see the time come across to see what he gets there. But yeah, the 58 nearly
58
flat.
0, fastest of...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he is going. He is not saving fuel. Antonio Reese right now is trying to make his way around Tortello and get the pressure onto his teammate Jörg Manny, or maybe just play rear gunner for Jörg Manny. Manny right now seems pretty comfortable here in second position, not really able to close that gap ahead too much, maybe a 10th per lap, but he's not going to have enough time to close that gap down enough to get into slipstream range if it continues to go the way that it has. And who are we seeing here? Chris Montgomery coming down the straightaway. He's got a couple cars behind him, but nowhere near enough to really apply any pressure. And looks like he maybe just gets it wrong going into roller coaster, gets a bit of over rotation coming into the second apex, going to slide across the track, keeps it over to the right-hand side pretty well, so it doesn't necessarily impact those drivers coming behind, but an unfortunate incident there for Montgomery.
Ron, I know you've driven VIR in the past, and I do want to say roller coaster, and no matter what car you're in, especially the right-hander when you start turning down the hill, is a gigantic pain in the ass to get right lap after lap.
Oh, it absolutely is. We nearly saw some side-by-side racing with Wilkie and Singer heading down into Oak Tree of 11 and 12. But that section roller coaster, turn number 14 and 14A, super tricky to try and get right. It's so inviting to try and go for a gutsy move when you're involved in a very intense battle. So that plays into your mind as well. But even just hot lapping around here, trying to get that car woed up, you got the turn, a little veer off to the left before you have to turn into the right of the real turn 14 around this track, as I like to call it. They completely skipped out on turn 13 around this track, which is neither here nor there. But that section, even just in a hot lapping scenario, super tricky to try and get right. Doubly so in these Formula Fords. These cars will put you on your ass if you look at them the wrong way, let alone have some small low mistake heading through the braking zone, while the heaviest braking zones of the entirety of this season at the end of a long straightaway where these cars are just about as close to terminal velocity as you can get.
Yep, the professor here. He's got about 2 laps left to get this win. Nobody talked about him during the pre-race. Nobody talked about him in practice, but the professor, through, let's be honest, some good luck in not getting involved in any of those incidents that were happening ahead of him, has put himself in a very, very good position here, Randall. We're looking back here, though, at Fabian Singer and Joshua Wilkie. They've been going at it now for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, they absolutely have been. As Singer got his wheel off into the dirt there at the exit of turn 4. I thought it was maybe going to spell disaster for him through the snake, but he manages to wrangle it, and he's got Wilkie barking at his back door right now. So we'll see if Wilkie has anything left in these tires. He has been pushing pretty hard to try to close the gap ahead. So before the pit stop, that is. So we'll see if he's been able to retain any good out of those tires or not. But we jump back up front. That gap is under 2 seconds now. It's been closing about a 10th per lap, but they're going to run out of time. Unless Green has a mistake here, they're not going to be close enough for slipstream on the final lap. So it looks like Jörg Manny going to be fighting for second place here today. And you're right, the professor playing the role of the Spanish Inquisition here today. Nobody expected Jason Green to have the finish that he's looking to have today after starting where he started. He had that small incident in turn 1 on lap 1, but hasn't really looked back since then.
No, he has not. But right meow, Ron, I need you to tell me, what do you think Jörg Manny is going to do? Especially, it looks like this may be the checkered flag lap. We got to look at Barney, or the white flag. We got to look at Barney here. Where's Barney? Do we see a white flag waving? I don't even know where Barney is on this track, Ron.
Yeah, the white flag is in the air. Only one more lap of racing action, meow, from the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors here at VIR. And it's the Professor Jason Green grabbing that white with a 2-second gap back to Jörg Manny. Manny on track for his 11th Masters win of this season, but he's still got the challenge from Antonio Reis. Reis has one win here in the Masters category. He's the only other driver outside of Manny to grab a win thus far this season in the Masters category. He may be pushing the issue, but he's got Tortolo between himself and his teammate, mind you. So probably not going to see any sort of banging and roughing each other up between these two. And of course, Tortolo and the way that he attacks the final half of this final lap of the race is certainly going to play a huge factor in how this battle for the final few podium spots really shakes out. It's Manny in front of Tolo, in front of Reis, heading down into South Bend for the last time in this race. Fabian Singer on track for the win in the Spec 2 category with a rather big gap back to Keith Dalton. I believe with the difficulties that Jeff Wubker and Boris Espin have found in this race, that may play into the hand of Bill Walker. Despite the fact he is not here, I think it may be good for him in the Spec 2 championship, but only time will tell. We'll get further word on that after this broadcast is, well, after this race is done. Juan Garcia and Josh Wilkie swapped spots a couple of moments ago, but one driver looking not to swap any spots or swap ends or anything of the sorts is going to be Jason Green, though, right behind Manny and Tolo, side by side through the braking zone into turn 14. Let's see. Not close enough is Tolo to get that move done to slip his way up into P2. Antonio Reis certainly going to be within striking distance, though. They still got a long time left until they hit that start-finish line to take the final checkered flag of this season. But Manny's leading them, coming out of Hog Pen for the last time. At the front of the field, though, Jason Green, who we didn't expect to be in this position, is going to be in this position at the end of the race. Jason Green, the professor, going to grab the final checkered flag of the season, and right behind, it was practically nothing between Jörg Manny, Tortolo, and Antonio Reis. That 0.2 of a second between those three right at the line. A close finish involving Ian Joyner and Fabian Singer, too. About a half a tenth between those two drivers in P6 and P7. Looking at some of the cars a little bit farther in the back, crossing the line. Jason Green going to grab the final Spec 1 checkered flag of this season. Manny goes 11 for 12. Fabian Singer wins the A10 car, but it was still a brilliant race for Green, executing that pit strategy to absolute perfection, Randall.
Something happened to Wilkie in the last lap. He dropped down the order pretty quickly there in the closing stages. I suspect that possibly he's going to be getting that Thompson trophy for fuel management at the end of the day, because it looked like he did not come out of the last corner under full power. So maybe some fuel shortage issues there for Wilkie. Jason Green, the valedictorian today, the professor, leads the way in an unexpected victory, unexpected by us, probably completely expected by him.
Yeah, I would say that Jason may or may not have known what was going down. Now the question is, does Jason have enough fuel? It doesn't look like he does, because we've got look out, Ian. We've got Tortolo lined up right behind Jason Green here, so we got to see if Jason's gonna have to get pushed, Ron, to the ever famous end of race Weekend Warrior spectacle that everybody has to tune in to see.
Yeah, everyone loves the on-track aerial acrobatic shenanigans that always are so entertaining to watch. And here we go. They're dispatching. Jason Green is rolling. You can see them going for the jump on the outside walls. Turn 7 on the shortened course that the Formula V's ran at yesterday. Tortolo just smacked the barrier. I think some of these cars are going off into the forest. Oh, look at that. And I'm waiting for someone to just stun me and come in for the... Oh, there we go.
Tortolo gives Jason Green the bump that Jason gave him in the Formula V's a few weeks ago. Sorry, Jason. Hope you don't put that one on the podcast, buddy. But yes, absolute carnage here at the end of the race. Randall, man, it was a lot of fun. And I do have to say, that for all of the drivers that I would want to finish this race, that I would want to say comes in first, Jason Green has got to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I would like to point out the driver that finished in 5th place is Trenton Kramer. He did not have a good race. I wouldn't say snake bit, but more like gator bit, as we're seeing him do a bit of a crocodile here. He did not have a great race, but he manages to come home in 5th position. So able to, forget his mistakes, keep carrying on, have a good pit stop, and only finishes down 1 position from where he started. So a mixed day for Trenton Kramer. You have to wonder what could have been. I think he could have been challenging Jason Green for this win had Jason Green not really, kind of giving him the forearm shiver going into turn 1, lap 1.
Yeah, Jason Green with some elbows out for sure going into lap 1. It was impressive to see from Jason. Now, I do think we have some results to show here, Ron.
That we do, and just for clarity's sakes, if that got caught up on the microphone, it was what the croc that I said a couple of moments ago as we were seeing Trent Kramer on top of Josh Wilkie's car. I did not say the word that I said for the Spec Racer Fords at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago. It's just boom ba. But Jason Green going to grab the final checkered flag of this Formula Ford Weekend Warriors season. It says Spec Racer Ford up there. I mean, need to get that fixed. But Jason Green going to grab the checkered flag in this Formula Ford race. Jörg Monty going to win it yet again in the Masters. That's 11 for 12 wins, which I think, at least in my time covering Weekend Warriors, may be a record in terms of a driver grabbing the most amount of wins in a certain class over a given season. Monty,
crazy, absolutely
fantastic from start to finish, and fantastic throughout this race. He may have had a good shot to win this race if things went a little bit different for him, but he ends up in P2. Tortolo going to round out your overall podium in 3rd. Antonio Reese finishes 2nd of the Masters drivers, P4 overall. And we have Trent Kramer in 5th, Ian Joyner in 6th, Fabian Singer wins it in the Spec 2 category, ends up in 7th. Then Juan Garcia in 8th, Keith Dalton in 9th, and Ethan Orr going to round out your top 10.
In 11th place, we've got Joshua Wilkie. Soren Garrett comes home in 12th. Alan DeGasis, your 13th position finisher. Andrew Levin, 14th. Jeff Webker, 15th. Paul Jackson, 16th. John Toms and Daniel Verone round out your top 18. In 19th position, we've got Chris Montgomery, Boris Essman, Stevie Ray, Edgar Sancinelli, and Kevin Adrian round out the 23 drivers today, Randall, that we had at VIR. A bit of a small field, but it was still a great race.
A small field, a bit of attrition affected some drivers today, but we had a great race up front. We had a great race in the midfield even. Some fuel strategy playing a bit of a role for some drivers, but all around, this is kind of what you expect to see when any kind of car takes the VIR. You see them break up a little bit, you have a good race for the lead, typically decided by slipstream on the final lap. Not today. The Professor coming home with the win.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a great job. And speaking of the Professor, I want him. By the way, Jason, you have come up with a new nickname. You are no longer the driver coach extraordinaire. You are now the Professor. The Professor of fuel strategy. As we watch what happened in turn 1 between yourself and Trenton Kramer. We'll get to that in 1 second. But Jason, you got through the whole race and you spent about between 2 and 3 seconds shorter time than anybody else did in the pits in the top 5.
Yep. Yeah. Battling up front slowed everybody down, so rather than getting involved in that and potentially getting crashed out, I just decided to fuel save behind. I saved so much fuel, at least a liter, which is about 3 seconds in the pit stops. So I knew I had pace. If I could just get a little bit of a gap, I might not have been faster than Monty or Ian, but just fast enough to maintain the gap to the end of the race. So yeah, that worked perfectly. Was able to survive the first stint, save a lot of fuel, and then pushed at the end. So it was nice to actually have pace for once in this car.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't see why do you got to throw me off like that? You can't just say pace for once in this car, Jason. You've been up top 5, top 7, top 3 even the whole season. So you can't tell me, oh yeah, I just came out with pace this race. So yeah, you can drop that bullshit at the door, buddy. Nobody believes you, Jason. But congratulations on your win. I do want to talk about though lap 1, turn 1.
Yep. Yeah. So I thought I was driving a Formula V. It looks like. I definitely was using the Formula V brake marker instead of the Formula Ford one. So yeah, I just broke way too late, and clobbered Trent there. So sorry, Trent. I've already apologized like 5 or 6 times over Discord, but sorry again. 100% my fault. Trent did nothing wrong. And yeah, I broke way too late. Fortunately, he was able to do an incredible recovery all the way up to 5th. So it's a great drive from him.
You know, the funny part is, like, you can apologize to Trent all you want, Jason, and I'm not telling you not to apologize, but I do remember a Cadwell race, and I believe, when was that? Was that the Week 13 shenanigans we had, or maybe it wasn't? Something happened between Trent when he had the Bomb Bill paint job and Michelle Lynn. So yeah, you can't really apologize to a guy that has done the same thing to somebody else, which we can talk about that. Everybody's done the same thing to somebody else in in iRacing. So, but Jason, I know you deserve this win, man. You got the fuel strategy right on point. You dodged quite a few anvils. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go? You've got a race here in about 30 minutes, and I want to talk about Road Atlanta as well.
Yeah. Now I'm not sure I'll be doing an interview for that one. So
you will.
First, shout out to you, buddy. This is your last broadcast. So shout out to you for building SMB and creating the juggernaut that it appears to be becoming. So shout out to you, man. You built an incredible incredible broadcaster here. So shout out to you. Shout out to Stevie, of course, as always, for putting these leagues together, assembling this incredible group of people, and getting all of these people to show up every Saturday and Sunday across the 3 leagues, and even on Wednesday on the 4th league. So shout out to him, and then shout out to everybody who showed up today. We've had incredible participation in this league, especially this season. So shout out to everybody.
Well, Jason, I hope to be talking to you soon, and I am going to shout out all the people that you shouted out, but I got one more to go, man. So you're going to be back. You're going to be back in the interview waiting room for the last official one. But as of right now, Jason, congrats on your win here around VIR, and I hope you do as well at Road Atlanta. And you do have some cuss words that you like to say about Road Atlanta, so I'm not going to actually ask you about Road Atlanta because I know your feelings about them. By the way, when I say cuss words, Jason likes to say that Road Atlanta is bad, and he does not like Road Atlanta. Those are cuss words. So, Jason, get out of here, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, fingers crossed.
That was Jason Green there, winner overall and winner of Spec 1 as well. Ron, who do you want?
I am going to bring in Jorg Mani. I think I mentioned this in the Formula V race yesterday, but we'll get to that in a couple of moments' time. But Jorg, welcome into the commentary booth for the 8,000th time over the past 3 months. Your 11th win here from the Formula Ford Weekend Warrior season, capping off a season here at the FFs that was absolutely tremendous for you. So talk us through this race at VIR today.
I love this car. I love this car. I love this car. I love this car. It was really an interesting race. I knew with CERN on the side, I have to be careful. There are people I trust, people I don't trust as much. I proved actually in one lap. I forgot which one. It doesn't matter anymore anyway. But I had to really recover quite heavily, and I really did one quali lap after the other one just to get back to the pack. And I could do that, but congrats to Jason. His bloody pit stops. I think I have to slow him down a little bit on the pit stops once. But he made it on the pit stops again, otherwise I would have had him.
I gotta say, we had to give him a new nickname. We're calling him the Professor now because of his pit strategies. So overall, though, outside of him and somehow coming into the pits, spending I think like 4 or 5 seconds less than you and Tor did, and still being able to make it to the checkered flag. Not sure whether that car was powered by magic towards the end of the race or not. Still a pretty good race for you, and just a brilliant season all around. 11 wins, the Masters Championship by essentially a country mile. I just want to ask you about your thoughts on this Formula Ford season.
It was just fantastic. I can't ask for anything better than that. And thank you, Stevie, that you actually made that true with, choosing that car for your league. It's fantastic. I just really love this car, and it suits me really well. And it was a perfect season for me.
And as has become a tradition on these Formula Ford broadcasts, I'm not going to ask you the usual question. So I'm going to ask you about something you shared in the Formula V Discord server back on the 5th, I believe it was. Yeah, looking through, it was the 5th of March. A recipe that you shared in the All Things Food section of the Formula V Discord server. So, Jorg, I'm going to give you the floor to share a nice little recipe with all of us here on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
It's actually a very simple one. It's like two pieces of toasted bread. You can choose whatever you want, 2 slices, just put it in the toaster. Make a very nice gravy sauce, and with some mushroom in it, and you can put in some ham or whatever you want to put in, and put that above the toast, and that's it. It's a very simple dinner. Very tasty.
The good old something on a shingle.
Dude, not touching that one.
I could do a lasagna as well. I'm doing all the pasta by myself anyway, so I do quite a lot of lasagnas too.
You make your own pasta?
Yes.
And you're this fast?
You don't need to be fast. You just.
I'm just saying. Ask Guido how long it takes to make pasta. He's Italian.
No. It's
okay.
No, Guido knows, and it's not so difficult It's not so difficult actually as well.
Okay, never mind. I'm American, so clearly I don't know anything.
You just need to have the passion or the happiness to cook, and that's what I have.
Well, absolutely, Ron. You can have him back now. I'm going to talk to Jorg here in about an hour and a half, anyways.
I was just going to say that I feel like I've learned more about cooking over the past 5 minutes than I learned in my entire time taking a culinary arts course back when I was in high school. I'm just going to leave that at that. Jorg, you're going to be a guest on the Racing Line podcast this upcoming Tuesday, so looking forward to that. I was on there back for episode 10, so that 4th seat, they've got some Tempur-Pedic cushions on that. It is very comfortable, so give us a nice little preview of some of the stories you may be sharing for that, or do you want to keep your cards to your chest?
I keep my secrets till then.
Alrighty, sounds good. You may have to share some more recipes come time for that podcast appearance in a couple of days. But Jorg, congratulations on a brilliant season here for the Formula Ford. I'll let you give the thanks and shout outs.
Thank you to all of you guys, of course, doing an awesome job regarding broadcasting, and I like all of you guys, and I hope one day I can visit you, all of you. Might happen one day, but maybe not. But a big shout out to Stevie for the league. It's fantastic. It's just, I feel very comfortable in this league, and I really love it, and I hope I can do that for a long time. And a huge shout out to my racing colleagues. They're all fantastic as well. We have some scrappy edges sometimes, but we all get along quite good, I think. And that's what I just simply like. The racing is fantastic. It's very tough, but fair. And that's what I like. Thank you, guys.
Jorg, I'll just add my congratulations on your championship, the Runaway Championship. And thanks for the kind words. And we hope to have you around for a long time. Congrats, buddy. We'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye. See you later.
Yeah, take it easy, Jorg. Have a good one. That right there was Jorg Mani, your winner of the Masters category for the 11th time in 12 races. And Randall, I will let you take the last interview. It looks like our alien, Ian Joyner, is going to be with us.
Ian Joyner, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Did you wear your brown driving suit today?
He wasn't. Well, he was at the end. Put it that way. I did have to put a call out for underwear at the end, didn't he? Getting ready in the pits.
So which 4-letter word were you repeating as you crossed the hill there, going into the grass, knowing that you were going right in towards the leaders?
I don't know. It was just horrible. It was really unpleasant. Well done to Thor for missing me. I think on the one with Jorg, the first time I did it was, I think it was a little bit clearer that time, so it was a little bit less scary. It was more annoying that time, but the one where I could see I was just going to go straight through the field. I was very relieved to not kill anyone.
So let's talk about a highlight of the race instead of that incident. I've watched you all season start these races, and it seems like you do kind of the same thing every week, and it still manages to catch the other leaders off guard and maybe a little bit sleeping. Is this a pre-planned strategy for you, or is this just something that happens automatically where you don't necessarily go straight off of the last corner and let everybody compress up? Is that something? Is that a joinerism? Is that something we're seeing out of you that happens automatically, or is this kind of something you're watching the gaps and then going whenever you think?
No, it's definitely not strategic. I don't really have much experience with rolling start, so if anything, it's probably luck. And I haven't normally practiced them on the track either, so which I probably should do. So obviously you get some sort of weird things. Trying to think where we were a couple of weeks ago, where I think there's a very small gap between, was it safety car going in? I don't know. I think the strict iRacing rules are you can go at once you get the safety car gets called off the track, but you're not supposed to go before that. I don't think so. I don't know. To be honest, I'm just trying to follow the rules as best I can. get away. There's no method to it. Did work out all right today, but.
Method or not, it's managed to help you win a fair number of races this season and secure the championship. So congratulations on that championship, as we're watching that scary moment at the top of the roller coaster once again. So before we let you go and celebrate this championship, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out for such an awesome season?
I think Stevie's in the chat, isn't he? I can see. So yeah, thanks Stevie. It's been a really enjoyable series to be part of. Still feel like I'm very much a newbie and getting to know everyone, but it's been so friendly. So just everyone in the league really, and it feels like a nice community. So everyone here, it's kind of to me, like many of us, sim racing is very much something I'm here to do for fun. It's not something that needs to be really, really serious, and being able to do it, to meet people, do it in a friendly and respectful way. I think that really feels like it comes through from this league. So yeah, thanks to everyone who helps make it have that kind of atmosphere.
And I'll add my.
Oh, sorry, Stevie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ian, I'll add my congratulations to it, and thanks for the kind word. We're glad to have you around. Great season for you. Appreciate the kind words of the league. It's people like you and everybody else on track that make it what it is. So congrats again, buddy. Hope to see you next season.
Thanks, man.
Well, Ian, congratulations on the championship, and congratulations on a pretty good recovery run here today after a scary moment in the top of the roller coaster. Have a good weekend, buddy, and I suspect that you'll be in this booth quite a few more times next season.
Yeah, I will definitely be back in some form. I need to think about it a little bit about, I don't want to change class or something, but yeah, I will definitely be back. I'll be back somewhere, sometime.
So congratulations again. That was your championship winner in the Spec 1 division, Ian Joyner. And Ron, back to you, bud.
No. Unless Ron wants to take it, I think we got points here. I think Stevie Ray has figured out the actual championship winners here for the Formula Ford. Stevie, we can hand it off to you to give us some winners for Spec 1, Spec 2, and Masters class.
All right. Spec 1 is as you know, Ian Joyner, total of 928. Second in Spec 1 is Tortello with 744. I'll tell you, second overall, though, was Jorg with the Masters at 866. So that's the top three overall. Jason Green comes in third in Spec 1, 31 points behind Tor at 717. The Spec 2 winner is going to be Paul Jackson at 540, and I've got to scroll down just a little bit. I'll sing like Ron does here. Waiting for the update of the screen here. Bill Walker comes in second. Looks like 13 points behind, 527, and Boris Essman is third in the Spec 2 class, 19 points behind that, but only 6 behind Bill Walker. He's at 521, so that was close. 540, 527, 521 for those guys. Now we'll see if we can get the Masters to come up, and we're looking at, like I said, Monty with 866, just a total runaway domination. John Toms gets the second place at 534. If you want to know the difference, it's 332 points behind Jorg. That's how much he dominated. And Antonio Reese pulls in the bronze medal for the season. He's 17 points behind John Toms at 517. So, again, congrats to everybody on the podiums for all three classes this season, and a huge congrats and thanks to all the Warriors. You guys are appreciated. This league doesn't happen with you guys. I say it every season, and I truly mean it. It's a league of the everybody on the track, and huge shout out to SMB. Appreciate you guys. It's really a great marriage between the two, SMB and the Ray Esports and the Weekend Warriors. Appreciate you guys as well.
Stevie, I'm going to take it to you again here in about an hour and a half, and I got some words for you, buddy. But as of right now, Rob, for the final time, can I do this? Can I do it for the Formula Fords?
Yep, I'll let you take it, man.
All right, here we go. My name's been Adam Thompson. Joined in the commentary booth with me is Randall McGrew and Ron Maunz. See you next time. No, we won't. Just kidding. My name has been Adam Thompson. Joined in the commentary booth with me this afternoon has been Randall, the one, the only. He picked the wrong military branch, McGrew, and Ron Maunz from Philadelphia. I don't know what to say about you, Ron. Everything that I could already say about you has already been said. In the production booth this afternoon has been Guido Marzucchi. We will talk to you guys here in about 30 minutes for the final time for me from Slow Motion Broadcasting. Thank you guys so much. And we do have some upcoming broadcasts to talk about as well, I think is what Guido was telling me. So now I got to scroll up and do all the things that I'm not used to doing. So we do have, obviously, the Spec Racer Fords coming up here at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are going to be at Road Atlanta for that. Then Cross Series League Racing runs tonight. We're going to be at Kokomo in the 410 winged sprint car. And I'm going to take this one to Randall. We are running American Muscle Series at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. At what track?
We're actually off this week. We don't race during week 13, but the next race for the American Muscle Series will be at Road America.
And then finally on Wednesday nights, we do have the Ray Esports Club Racing League. I believe they are off during week 13 as well. And so is the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4s. And I do want to talk about the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4s here for just 1 second. There have been quite a few. Ron, bad back Maunz. I like it. And then Sim Racing Group. I got a bunch of people talking in my ears right now. Sim Racing Group does have a couple of different series coming to Slow Motion Broadcasting here. They are going to continue to run the Intermediate League, but they're also going to bring in the Advanced Series, I believe, which runs right after the Intermediate League, I think. So we're going to have to be talking about that here very soon as well. So we have got a bunch of good stuff coming up here for Slow Motion Broadcasting. We have one more thing to talk about. Again, it's the V runoffs. It's the 44th one. Stevie, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's one of the mainstays every week 13 for 44 times now. That's what, 11 years worth. And we open it up. You don't have to be a league member. Show up and race with us. We'll have the Vs, the Formula Fords, and Spec Racers in different races. And I'm not telling anybody where this one's going to be at. I'm kind of hold that, and you're going to show up, do 10 minutes of practice or so, do a solo qualify, and then we're going to race. So it's just show up and have some fun this time.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. And I think the only person within our group here that knows anything about it is going to be Joshua Wilkie. And the problem is, I think Trenton Kramer offered Joshua 5 iRacing bucks, and Joshua still wouldn't give it up. So it's going to be interesting to see how much money it takes for Joshua to give away that information.
I offered 75 bottles of maple syrup to the guy, too, and he won't give it away.
I know. I don't know what's going on with Joshua, but Ron, get us out of here.
Alrighty, sounds good. I thought you were going to do it, but I guess I'll do it anyways. For myself, Ron Maunz, Adam Thompson, Randall McGrew, and Stevie Ray joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi doing a wonderful job working all the cameras behind the scenes in the virtual production hauler. I say thank you all so very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and stay tuned for the Spec Racer Fords coming up later on this afternoon.
Meow!